You've not done an episode like this before, have you?
No.
Oh dear.
I
Very
never go
dear.
on other people's podcasts. Okay, well, my name's Gurpreet.
Yep.
A lot of people might know me as a makeup artist, but I've also got my own podcast, the Inside Makeup Podcast. So we basically dive in and we talk about everything beauty related, makeup related, wellness related, lots of content creation. I've always been doing that before content creation even became like a thing on Instagram. I've always enjoyed getting people ready. Like I've always done makeup on other people. And so that's when I thought, okay, let me try this whole makeup world. I was very new to it. I didn't know anyone in it. I love getting other people ready because it makes them feel good. I had to go through a lot of shit to find my calling, if it makes sense. When I was younger, everyone kind of thought I was going to be a flop because I would try an industry and then I would leave if I didn't feel like I wanted to do it. At one point, I was training to be a secondary maths teacher and everyone was like, what the hell? But it was important for me to try things to then realise what fit. Makeup fit, but because I've done a lot of inner work, I think that's helped me find my calling. Like a lot of people say to me, like, aren't you lonely, like living alone with your dog? And I'm like, no. But I think if I hadn't done the work that I've done, I would have been very lonely because I'm on my own a lot of the time. My job is very lonely because I'm someone that has suffered from depression, anxiety, overthinking, panic attack. And I've suffered with loneliness pretty much a lot of my life. And loneliness is something people don't talk about often, I think. People talk about depression and anxiety and PTSD and all that kind of stuff, but loneliness is a thing.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Unfiltered podcast, where we take the eye out of unfiltered and put the emphasis directly on you. This is the one platform where we get to take down our filters and have raw, authentic and vulnerable conversations in regards to the challenges that we're all facing today. Now, if you're a fan of the unfiltered nature of this podcast and you want more of these conversations that I have on the show to be normalized, why don't you help me help you? To get more guests on and to have those difficult conversations in regards to the challenges we're all facing, I have to know what it is that you specifically want us to speak about. So if it isn't too much to ask, why don't you hit that subscribe button right now? And at the end of the episode, if it's been a hit for you, why don't you leave a thumbs up and leave a cheeky review in regards to what specifically resonates with you. Now, with that all being said and done, let's get straight back into the episode. Fine. Yeah.
Like,
how do you want me to pronounce your name?
how do you pronounce it?
No, because like there's ways, right? Like, is there like a specific way people have said your name at home? Or is it just Gurpreet?
How do you say it?
Gurpreet. Yeah, but I'm very like coconutty.
Say it, how are you going to introduce me? As what?
I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Me?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's part of the podcast.
I introduce people.
This is all included as well. This is all included. So when I say hi, you've not done an episode like this before, have you?
No.
Oh dear.
I never go on other people's podcasts.
But you said we're going to try and build up the podcast this year. So that's going to require you going on other podcasts as well to share a bit more about you. So, Gurpreet, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Okay, well, my name's Gurpreet.
Yep.
A lot of people might know me as a makeup artist, but I dabble in modelling, but I've also got my own podcast. The Inside Makeup Podcast, which some people know about, some people don't. So we basically dive in and we talk about everything beauty related, makeup related, wellness related, health related, all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of do a bit of everything.
There's a bit more to it as well, right?
What do you mean, the podcast?
No, a bit more to you as well.
Yeah.
Go on, so a bit of modelling, just a little dabble of modelling. No,
not too much. Yeah. I do videography, photography and editing.
Cool, nice.
Yeah, like lots of content creation. I've always been doing that before content creation even became like a thing on Instagram. And now with CapCut, it's just so much easier to edit. Whereas before we had to learn how to use Adobe or Final Cut Pro or what are the other ones called? I can't remember at the top of my head. Yeah. But now with CapCut, it's so easy. You can just
No, I hear it.
Do it. So yeah.
There's a bit more to your story as well, because kind of similar to me, you didn't jump into this creative space off the cuff, right?
No.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about you.
So I went to university and did accounting. Yeah, quite similar to you, right?
I did it for work.
Yeah. So it was never me. I knew that already. But then I did teaching for a bit. I did recruitment for a bit. And then I eventually landed at a company called JC&Co, which was really good. It was really fun. Bit toxic, and then I just hated it so much. I just left, and I left one day, and I was like, "What am I going to do?" Like I had no plan, so I wouldn't suggest people to do this. But being the type of Sagittarius that I am, I'm very just like black and white. So I left, and I thought, oh my God, like I need to do something. And I thought, you know what? I've always enjoyed getting people ready. Like I've always done makeup on other people. And so that's when I thought, okay, let me try this whole makeup world. I was very new to it. I didn't know anyone in it. So I was literally just going into it. And that's how I fell into makeup and hair, and I fell in love with it. A lot of people know me as like a bit of a tomboy, but I love getting other people ready because it makes them feel good, and that's the side that I like. And then I fell into videography, photography, editing, because I felt like organizing shoots was a bit of a chore, and I thought if I could just learn it, then I could do everything myself. And so that's what I did, and that's how I fell into that. And then the podcast stuff is very new. I've had that idea for about a year, and I launched that last year. So in a nutshell.
So you went from doing numbers, not liking it, to then doing some other corporate jobs, and then black and white, walk out.
Yeah.
Found some. It sounds it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound easy, and I feel like there's more of a. I'm not sure whether or not. Do you think you found your calling?
Oh yeah.
How
100%.
How does that feel?
It feels good, but I feel like I had to go through a lot of shit to find my calling, if that makes sense. Like I said, I've never had help from anyone, and I never knew people in the industry or anything like that. I've kind of had to figure it out myself. So I've been doing everything that I'm doing now full time for about 6 years, 2 years being COVID. And it's just been a real journey, but because I've done a lot of inner work, I think that's helped me find my calling within this, if that makes sense.
Bit of therapy.
Yeah. So not the typical therapy though. I've tried counselling. I've tried, is it CBT? Yeah, I've tried that. I've done all of that. Because I'm someone that has suffered from depression, anxiety, overthinking, panic attacks, all that jazz basically. So I fell into something called energy alignment therapy. Do you know about it?
You would have liked the person that was just in that seat before you.
Why?
Talked about energy healing a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we talked about like how that particular area is something which I don't feel is very, very. It's not out there for the everyday audience to possibly like gravitate towards and understand a bit more about it. It's if you're in that space or you know a bit about it, you'll jump into it. And I feel like what she was trying to tell me was that like you break it down for me. What is it like for a dummy essentially? What's part of this process? What is the A to B journey that you get through doing this energy healing? Because you see stuff about like crystals, Reiki.
It's all very connected.
Yeah. And she was like talking about your divine and stuff. It was a very, very interesting like little play on it.
I think the reason people don't really go into it is because energy isn't physical.
Yeah.
So you can't physically see the difference, but emotionally and spiritually you can. So I was somebody that I'm quite headstrong, so I can take a lot of crap basically, but then I'll store it in my body, and that's what I was doing for so many years. So what energy alignment theory does, it basically can take that trapped trauma from your body and release it, and then you're able to be in a state of flow that is your calling basically. So it's not just one session and that's it. It's a continuous journey. No one ever heals 100%.
No, for sure.
Learn coping mechanisms, you learn tools to get through every day basically.
When you say no one heals 100%, I know I said obviously, and I'm trying to think of it. What do you mean by no one heals 100%?
If you suffer from depression, it's not something that you can just fix like that. You learn to cope with it. Okay.
Is I'm only challenging you just because I want to like try and tap into it a bit more, because I don't want it to be seen like if you are suffering with forms of depression that there isn't a way out for you to feeling a lot better. There are like coping mechanisms in place which can help along the journey. But I also feel there's a trigger which causes you to go back to that place.
That's true.
And you know what that trigger is. If you've not let go of that trigger, it's gonna allow you consciously to go to that place where you can feel depressed. I know I do it to myself. Like I know if I see something and I know it's like best example, sorry, let me reword it back. I talk about it from a client's perspective. Checking in on an ex.
Ooh.
You know right now you're going through the healing process. You know that you're trying to get over them and let go.
Yeah.
Why are you checking their account for? Why are you looking at what they're doing? Why are you checking it 6 months later to see if they're engaged or not? Like, you are now consciously allowing this feeling of, I wouldn't say depression, but like say anxiety or pain or frustration to come on because you are doing the action which causes it. Does that make sense? And so what could you do to stop that? If you block this person, deleted this person, or did something across like a social media way where you never could see that again, how could you ever get triggered by that?
You're energetically still connected to that person. That's what you need to release.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So isn't there a way to then fully heal from that? So that way...
situation, yeah. But you can't compare that to, let's say, childhood trauma.
I'm not disputing that. I do feel that there possibly is something within that ideology, that there is a way you can remove that trigger. Because what that tells me right now, hypothetically, if you using an example, let's say a teacher pissed you off when you were at school and that lives with you now, right? They said something about your grades or whatever, and it's living with you rent-free right now. And that triggers you when someone possibly says something about the work that you produce, whether it's content or makeup, whatever. The trigger's there.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
You haven't let go of what that teacher has said.
Yeah.
You haven't made peace with it. You still let that judge you. So you judge yourself based on what was said. If you make peace with that, no matter what anyone ever says to you later down the line, it can't trigger you like it once did. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It can reduce slowly, I think.
Don't get me wrong. The severity of it is very different. People go through some fucked up things. But I do think that there is a way to be able to consciously tell whatever's going up here right now, you don't need to feel this way. You don't need to go back to that place. You don't need to let what's happening right now take you there.
Yeah.
You can if you want to, and if you feel like it's going to help, fine. And if you're feeling a certain kind of thing, cool, but you also are in control.
Yeah, that's true, actually, you're right. You have to learn to rewire your brain again, and that's the difficult part, which is why I feel like you can never really 100% heal. I think it's a continuous journey.
It is a continuous journey. But
rewiring your whole system is not easy.
Yeah, and it still creeps up. Like, I listened to it on Shivani's episode with Jay, and he talked about like self-doubt. Do you ever feel like you're an imposter still? And he said, yeah, there are times where it comes up. And so no matter how far along in the journey you are, there's always something new you can learn. And there might still be something there which you possibly, that small, that you've compartmentalized.
You might also develop new triggers as well.
Exactly.
Even social media and everything. The Gen Z generation of kids, like, they all have anxiety pretty much because of social media. Whereas I think when I went to school, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, no one knew what it was. Yeah. Whereas now people are saying, like self-diagnosing themselves.
Yeah. Let's go back to that energy alignment. So you've done work around that.
Yeah.
You still doing work around that?
Yeah. I heavily believe in crystals. That's helped me a lot.
Talk to me about crystals.
I feel like crystals aren't for everybody.
That's fine.
It's sort of like, how do I explain this? If it suits you, you'll feel it. If it doesn't suit you, you'll also feel it.
Okay.
But I feel like before you dive into crystals, you need to do a lot of work on yourself and work on your intuition and work on your core energy and meditating and things like that, and find what works for you. I've tried loads of different things, and crystals is the one thing that worked with me. And I felt a huge difference with it. And you can wear them. I personally meditate with them. So I meditate every day, sometimes twice a day as well, or sometimes I'll wear bracelets as well. And when I'm meditating, I'm somebody that absorbs a lot of energy, and I didn't understand that until I was older.
Yeah.
And until I found my energy alignment coach.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, so I'm a bit of a sponge. And crystals, for me, they help protect my energy so that I'm not absorbing everything. If that makes sense.
You've been quite selective on what you take on board.
Yeah. Like even coming here today, like getting on the train and everything, like before I even stepped out of my apartment, I protected my energy. So because otherwise you can't be your best self either when you go into situations, and you just walk out with a headache. Have you ever been in a situation where you're in a crowded place and you just walk out with a headache?
Yeah. Like events and stuff.
Not because of noise.
Yeah.
But because people have drained you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
very draining.
Thing.
Yeah.
So it's important for everyone to find what works for them and protect their energy. This word is thrown around a lot.
This is the thing, like, and I feel like
loosely.
And that was exactly what I should have said on that episode of her. I feel like it's thrown, and no one knows a bit more about like the real root context in regards to what benefits can come on the back end of it. So like, and it's funny, today's all kind of been about energy as well. There's like, if you go to, let's say, treatments, for instance, like Ayurvedic treatments, etc. There's context in regards to possibly using turmeric or using some of these like natural ingredients in regards to the results that happen.
Yeah.
Subsequently on the back end of using it. Same thing applies with certain styles of, let's say, coaching, for instance. You work with a fitness trainer, you're going to possibly see a different result, whether it's tangible or intangible, depending on how you feel, you're going to see a difference, right? I feel with the energy space, there is definitely something there, because there are a lot of people who work in Reiki, crystals, as you just said. There are so many different forms of it. However, like you said, it's been loosely thrown out. I don't know, like if you said to me, what do you know about crystals? I'd be like, they look pretty. I've seen them in some museums. There's apparently something around it, but I don't know enough about it. And I feel in that space in particular, there needs to be more emphasis around it to encourage them people to be like, oh shit.
I could do that.
And dumb it down for them. Like if doing a sort of crystal session is going to help you with your confidence, it might seem like a bit of doolally. What are you talking about? But this is what I want you to sit with. This is what I want you to think about. I want you to just focus on your breathing and see what happens. So I did it in therapy recently. My therapist was like, do you meditate? I said, yeah, every day religiously.
What kind of therapy do you get?
I don't know what it is. Just normal therapy, I think.
Just like talking therapy?
Yeah, kind of. But he gives me like a little bit of like coaching and some homework. I get quite lucky with him. And he was like, what I want you to do is just sit and meditate, but I want you to just focus on this particular area here. You just in and out. And I said, what if my mind takes so much? Try to ignore it and then come back to that. Just keep coming back to it. And he says, I want you to like just see where it lands within you. Like, what do you feel, kind of thing. And I've been only doing it for like the last few days, because that was when our last session was. And he said, we're going to like try and double down into this. But it got me thinking, like, this whole area here, like when I close my eyes, my head can go elsewhere. But I'm starting to feel things now.
Like what?
Feeling a little bit warmer around here. I felt like when I felt a little bit lighter up here.
So those are your chakras then?
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's someone dumbing it down to say, I just want you to do this and see how you feel.
Okay.
Made it a little bit more understandable in regards to what possible effect it will have, because he told me about like different forms of thinking and the way the mind works and stuff. So it was really, really interesting. But me being in the space I'm in, I'm willing to hear about that. The general everyday person possibly isn't, because they're like, do you see what I mean?
But do you think if it's meant to come to you, it will?
An element of that, but I feel like if there's so much power within it, it should be broadcasted out there in regards to this is what crystals can possibly do, and really hone it in. Like, why should a footballer, for instance, who plays in the Premier League, probably goes through enough stress right now, have a crystal session? There's a benefit within there, right?
Yeah, there is.
But we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So when I talk about, like, say, from coaching and me trying to normalize it, I'm not saying you need to work with me. I'm just saying that if you want a form of accountability, if you want someone to push you in a certain direction, if you, it might be someone, I might be someone for it. If you want someone who's going to be a bit more softer toned, I'm definitely not your guy. If you want someone who's going to kick your ass because he believes in you, it might be.
Have you ever tried stuff like Reiki or anything? Never.
I did this one session Monday. It was a form of like teaching and healing, but it was just the one session. So
you've never tried any form of energy healing at all? I've
done yoga, if that counts, like yin, sound healing and stuff like that.
Sound healing, yeah.
Yeah, I fell asleep like a baby and felt amazing. Felt so high when I walked out. I was like,
okay, whoa. So that probably worked for you then.
Yeah, I that's my bedtime routine. A bit of sound healing, throw on some noises, just
really
knock out. Yeah. When I was staying in hostels in Bali, I put my AirPods in because you got people snoring. And then there was just like this, I don't know what the guy's name is, but what's the thing with the little drum?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The name, but I know what you're talking about.
And so I found a playlist and I just out like a light and so calm and at ease.
See, I listen to, this might sound a bit weird, I listen to rain sounds in the evening sometimes. It depends on how I'm feeling. I'll listen to light jazz music. That's another thing. Or I'll listen to, is it the steel pan?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, steel pan. And that starts my evening routine.
Nice.
Like, I'm the sort of person I've come to realize as I've been doing the work, a morning routine, I don't know why I'm apologizing to the mic. A morning routine and an evening routine is really important. And if I don't do that, I feel like I'm not aligned within myself. Like, it's very important. Like, a lot of people say to me, like, aren't you lonely, like living alone with your dog? And I'm like, no. But I think if I hadn't done the work that I've done, I would have been very lonely, because I'm on my own a lot of the time. My job is very lonely, and I've suffered with loneliness pretty much a lot of my life up until now. And loneliness is something people don't talk about often, I think. People talk about depression and anxiety and PTSD and all that kind of stuff, but loneliness is a thing, especially you might feel the same in our industry. Do you ever get lonely?
Yeah, we can talk about it right now if you want.
Yeah, because when I first started, because I do makeup and hair, I don't know how much you know about the makeup world, but if you're a makeup artist and that's it, then you meet other people because you'll meet a hairstylist on the job as well. If you do makeup and hair, it's just you alone. And so I was navigating through this industry on my own. People weren't collabing with me, and I'd had a rough time with friends. I'd lost a lot of friends because I had grown as a person. And I think they didn't recognize the person that they once knew, because I've done inner work and you just develop and you change, right? So I didn't have a lot of friends or anything like that. This was prior to getting my dog. Her name's Marla. And so it was a very lonely journey, on top of being depressed and on top of not understanding that I have anxiety, because I didn't know that I had anxiety, but I would get panic attacks. And then I was like that for a long time, and I just distanced myself from everyone, and I didn't know what to do. And then that's when I fell into energy alignment. And once I started that, it literally changed my life, and getting my dog at the same time.
I was going to say, like, you don't strike me as the person who, not want to say looks lonely, but has a personality that might allow them to feel alone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're very vibrant, a lot of energy.
I'm a very sociable person, and I'm very good at masking.
Oh, okay, so you're very good at keeping filtered.
Yeah.
So now we're unfiltered. Okay, so it's the perfect podcast for you. All right. That chapter of being lonely.
Yeah.
As comfortable as you want to get within it.
Yeah.
As you said, people are still probably going through it right now. You said to me that maybe I'm possibly going through it as well, and there are elements where that's true. I know you've done your healing, you've had your coaching, you've got your dog, which plays a pivotal role for you as well.
Massive.
What's really picked you up from the lowest of lows?
Honestly, my dog. Like, I know some people don't resonate with animals, and they definitely don't resonate with dogs. I could honestly say my dog saved my life, like, genuinely. And I know a lot of people say that, and they really mean it. I honestly don't know what I would have done if I hadn't got her at the right time. And the way I got her is why I didn't plan on getting a dog. She came into my life. And that's when I knew that this was going to be a thing. And she got me out the house, because I have a Rottweiler, just to give people context. Obviously, big dog. You got to train them. You got to be on top of it. Otherwise, they're going to rule you. And that's not how it works with Rotties. So she literally got me out the house, because I wouldn't leave my bed. In all honesty, I wouldn't, but I had to, because I had this puppy who needed to be potty trained. And at that time in my life, I think she gave me purpose, and I didn't have purpose. And then that's when I feel like my life kind of started. So that's why she's played a huge role in my life.
And for like people who can't, in their circumstance, get a dog right now or get some sort of form of pet, Like, try and deep it a little bit more in regards to like what your dog symbolizes for you that's allowed you to no longer be lonely, because there's something there which I feel it's quite standoutish, which could be very useful for the woman that listens to this right now and feels, I feel like, yeah, no one gets it. And I am alone. And I don't know who to reach out to. I can't get a dog. My circumstances don't allow it.
I think some people, like I have this one friend and she gets her energy from socializing in a positive way. And that's what works for her. That doesn't work for me. What works for me is I get my energy from being alone and from being with my dog. So I think for people who can't afford to get a dog or can't afford, dabble in a few different things and see what you feel good about, if that makes sense. And there's other things you can do, like puppy yoga. Like there's a reason
that looks so cute.
Puppy yoga like exists.
Yeah.
Like it's not just because it's cute puppies.
It is cute puppies as well. Though.
It is that. But the aura that dogs bring, it's unmatched. And that's why you feel so much love from an animal, because they can't talk to you, but you know what they want, you know how they're feeling, and they give you the most love out of any person in the entire universe. This
is why I really want a dog. I feel like
it's not easy at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard.
I've seen from your walks in the snow and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't look fun. But
like a single parent. But only because I have a big dog.
Yeah.
I think it would be different if I had a small dog.
Don't know. Do they have? I'm assuming every dog will have like form of like attitude, etc., etc. So.
Yeah, but like a little dog, you can just scoop them up and just be like, shush. If my dog sits there, I can't move her. She's 40 kg. What am I going to do? So I have to make sure she listens to me.
Fine, fair.
Especially on a walk.
Fair.
And obviously being a Rottweiler, she's a protective breed.
Yeah.
So she's going to protect me at the same time. So it is difficult.
So there's no chance of me meeting Marla without her possibly barking at me or something, right?
It depends. She's very intuitive.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if she doesn't, she likes 90% of people.
Fine.
But if she doesn't like you, I'll hear it because she'll do this undergrowl thing.
Fine.
Like, okay, maybe just don't pet her.
Fine. Fair enough. Now, the only reason I wanted to just tap into that loneliness bit is because kind of like you said, in this space, when you walk a different journey of life compared to what the status quo is or what the normal is, it can feel quite isolated.
Yeah.
You're waking up at different hours. You're working different hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something which you possibly weren't taught to begin with.
Yeah.
And the conventional way of living right now is very different to you compared to everyone else. And so because you're not aligned with what they're doing, it then becomes very, very...
With who, what?
So if I look and say my friendship circle, it's definitely gone a lot smaller than what it ever once was.
Is that because you started working for yourself?
Yeah, since I've come into... No, I know, not even that. I think even when I started the whole coaching journey, some people didn't understand it to begin with. Yeah. And then when I started doing the podcast, some people started to get it a little bit more. Like I have friends say to me, oh, let me jump on the pod. Let's have a chat. Let's do it. And I'm like, bro, it's not serving the wider purpose. So one of my friends, I'm not going to name him, but he's my tax advisor, right? And I said to him, look, we're not going to have like a flipping stupid conversation about Arsenal, Man United and just troll each other on the pod. But you can use this platform right now to really educate a bunch of people around tax. Give some people some real gems that might be like just so simple, but they just don't know about. Yeah. Like you're constantly in the loop. That's a very informative conversation if you want to come on the podcast. That's going to really help a bunch of maybe entrepreneurs, people who run businesses, maybe people who've got property portfolios that you can...
Young adults coming out of uni.
Exactly. So there are things where like certain conversations could warrant. Go back into it. Some friends generally don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, or they look at it like... It is what it is. A story is a story. A game's a game. And I've had to get comfortable and learn, and I said this to my sister, I had to realize that whatever it is that they're doing right now, and whatever it is I'm doing right now, we're not meant to be so much in each other's energy place right now. Like
thing.
It's not. It's sad as well.
Yeah.
There's an element of sadness because it's like there's a lot of my friends I wish I could just hang out with a lot more like I once used to. But I also have to respect the fact that what they're doing in their life right now, what's chapter they're writing is very, very different to the chapter I'm writing. If I want to go out and socialize in a setting where there's a lot of single people because I'm single, they might not feel comfortable doing that anymore because they're past that, or they're now thinking about having a kid or thinking about and so it's very, very different. Your energies are very different, but you have to accept that. But the one realization I've had from that is I need to put myself in environments with those kind of people because we have the same energy now.
That aligns. I feel like friends change every so often. If you have a friend from childhood and you've stuck with them, I think that's very special and that's very lucky, but it doesn't happen to most of us. Your friendship circles change according to the circumstance in your life, I think. Like I said, I haven't had very great friendships, and I've had to let a lot of people go, in fact everyone, but I feel like last year, towards the end of last year, I kind of found like the people that I want to be around, and it feels they're all girls.
I'm throwing myself into the mix now still, just saying for context.
And I feel really good around them and I want to hang out with them and they bring the best out of me. And so, but then in the next 10 years my friendship circle might change again because I might change like what I'm doing maybe, for example. But right now that they serve, how do I say it?
No, they serve the present version of you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And like a difficult part of that is that you can always kind of like pick and choose your friends, right? When it comes to family, it becomes a little bit more harder because if they're never going to be aligned and you're kind of stuck in that, I'm trying to think of like my family. Some people have not understood why you're doing this. Why are you getting that car for? Why are you giving up what's safe and secure to try this? They don't understand what are the real possibilities of what my life could look like.
Do you think that's a South Asian thing?
See, I hate saying that it's a South Asian thing, but I am South Asian, so I will partly say it's part of that story because again, people have played it safe. They came in with their story, so they literally went into safe mode, save, buy a house, and that's their way of life, and that's all they've known.
Which is not wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
That's not wrong
and
either.
It's the right life for someone.
Yeah.
But on the opposite extreme, when I look at, let's say, some of these successful entrepreneurs right now who are doing amazing, wonderful things in this world, it started from being a bit risky and giving it a go. Yeah. I look at, like, see that the ads that come up on my Instagram, Simmer Eats. I think it was a kid who was Fizz Food.
Yeah.
Investment banker, I think it was, or in banking, gave it up, do this. I would like to say very successful. I don't know him, but very successful on that front in terms of how he's built his business. I look at Stephen Bartlett's story in regards to how he was that motivational at school, entrepreneurial, vending machines and some stuff like that. Dropped out of uni because uni is meant to be the thing we should stay into, but he did the opposite. And then went down a route where he's now got the Diary of a CEO brand like popping. We think that we have to do X, Y, and Z by the book to be somewhat deemed successful. And my coach was asking me this, and I kind of said it to you, like, my level of success might be living in Thailand now for the rest of my life, or going to Dubai or Bali or whatever it is. Like, it's very different to what we were accustomed to here.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be your level of success.
Exactly.
And I feel like that creates issues if you're stuck in an environment where you can't be open and talk about those things.
I feel like everybody is chasing fame. But you need to really, like you just said, sit down and think, actually, what is going to make me feel the best version of myself? And that might not necessarily be fame.
Yeah.
And also, never, like, when I was younger, everyone kind of thought I was going to be a flop because I would try an industry and then I would leave if I didn't feel like I wanted to do it. And I've tried a lot of things. At one point, I was training to be a secondary maths teacher and everyone was like, what the hell? But it was important for me to try things to then realize what fit. Makeup fit. But then I feel like even with makeup, it was like, I want to do more. There's more to me. And that's actually where videography came from, editing. But then that's how the podcast came about. And now I feel like the podcast is what is really resonating with me at this point in my life, more than probably the makeup side of it. So I think people should never also like give up. but it is risky at the same time, because for someone that kind of like lives alone, like obviously if I don't make money, then
yeah,
I'm screwed.
Marla's hungry too.
Marla's hungry too. And it's, you know, it is really hard, but I feel like you have to take those risks in order to grow and in order to then find your purpose in your career as well at the same time. Like, people are noticing me now because of my podcast, not just because of my makeup, because makeup world is so saturated.
That's what I found out about you, because it was through the tag on Insta, and all of a sudden I was like, who's this? I was like, okay, cool, connect.
So
hello.
People now recognize me for that.
Yeah.
But I'm 32 and I've been doing this for so long.
So you name age yourself. I don't know why you age yourself there, because like I told you, you look very, very, I thought you were very young. Just for context, yeah, I thought this girl was like 24 or something. I was like, damn, yo, crazy.
Oh my God.
Aging well over there.
Everyone thinks I'm young because of my dimples. But the reason I like to say my age is because I want to show people that, look, it's never too late. Like, honestly. If
you look at some of the most successful actors, I think it was, I don't want to butcher it, either Morgan Freeman or maybe it was Denzel. Or I think Morgan Freeman's the best one. Like, he didn't get his first acting gig till he was like in his like late 40s, I think. Yeah. I should really do the facts behind this, but it takes time sometimes.
He's older, yeah, but you should never give up. Everyone's journey is different. And also, I feel like everyone's like, oh my God, like, for example, Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy, she's successful before she was even born, basically. But she's going to have different types of struggles. Like, there is always a struggle. Like, just because you have a lot of money and stuff like that doesn't mean you're not going to have a struggle. And that's why you need to learn to be happy with yourself and learn to cope with things as well. Like, I'm nowhere near my end goal, but like, I'm really enjoying these small moments.
And that's the best place you can be.
Like, I would have never thought that I'd have my own place. I'd be a podcaster, model, makeup artist, content creator. Like, these are things that I once wanted to do when I didn't know what I wanted to do. So now when I do get stressed about things, I have to sit down and remind myself, you're actually kind of living your dream. But people measure success with fame.
Yeah.
But it's not like that.
Yeah. It's just what the overall wider community might say or think, right? I suppose
social media's just ruined everything.
To some degree. I don't want to go into that, because I know social media. I spoke about it with Rav and Delari, but it does open up a lot more doors for more of the creative mindsets to step in. Like
now, yeah.
I feel like if Instagram and TikTok, for instance, was available at a time where I left A levels or was in the A level space, I reckon I would have been 100% a bit more on it to say, no, I'm not going to do massive economics. I'm going to do graphics.
Yeah. I agree.
I would have seen something and I think I'm really good at that.
But you know, that struggle and what you went through, there's something very special about that.
Of course. But I also feel like I've always talked about, like, I've got potential. And I'm slowly starting to see my journey in a bit more detail in regards. I had potential to do really well academically, but respectfully, I've been a problem solver from day. And I've now finally fine-tuned it into a place where I can problem solve in a space where I love doing it. Versus in a podcast space, in a coaching call, I love doing that versus sitting behind a screen trying to figure out what that number should be. Do you know what I mean? And so I genuinely feel if I had the opportunity to say no at the time and do something which I thought would have intrigued me, I possibly would have been a lot further along in this journey, which isn't a bad thing, because like you said, you do learn something from it. But I do think like it would have been interesting to see what that path would have looked like and where I could have been today, because I maybe would not have done podcasting full stop, but I could have been doing something in a space for a corporate company where I just thrived and loved it.
Yeah, but you can say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. This is probably going to like digress big time, but there was one thing I definitely want to talk about with you around like insecurities.
Oh.
Yeah. Only because, I just for context, when I spoke to you originally about it, I felt welcome to go into a bit more detail about you, and you were so openly like willing to talk about it. And it's something like I've got over, but it's still like a pain in the ass. It still pisses me off.
What?
Around skin condition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, psoriasis. So you can't probably see it, but like over here, I've got a little like it's a flare up, and over here, and I used to have in the back of my head, and I used to be very conscious when I was at school.
Oh, for context, psoriasis is an autoimmune skin disease, by the way.
Okay.
For anyone
what she said.
Wondering. It's similar to eczema, but eczema you can heal. Psoriasis, they say it's lifelong. So
fine. Not ideal. But respectfully, I had it at the back of my head when I was at school, and I remember like I used to like scratch my head, and I used to think, what the fuck is this coming out, like kind of thing. So I actually grew my hair out longer to avoid showing anything.
Yeah.
I was that bothered about it. And like fast forward in time, like got some ointments and stuff, and then like it disappeared, and then I finally cut my hair. I got like my skin fade, and there was like a big red mark. Not it was just a mark on my skin, like a birthmark kind of thing. But it was obviously where like the flare up would have been, and like it's happened, and I moved on in life, and I'm learning a bit more about it. But you've gone through it.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable sharing a bit more about it, I'd love to know what like because your attitude and mindset towards something like that is very, very different to my mindset and attitude towards it. I feel like yours is a lot more empowering, which I find admirable.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's like, fuck, yo. There's times where I'm like, when I've gone and got my hair cut, like I can't hide the fact. Like I look better like this than I do when my hair's longer. But respectfully, I am conscious, and if I feel like if it flares up a little bit more, I'm gonna have to wear a hat just
to cover it.
And not even to cover it. I just don't like the look of it. But I feel like where you've had your psoriasis, you just powered through, and from what it seems like anyway.
I developed psoriasis when I was around 14, I think, and I started on my face. I didn't know what it was, because back then it was just like, oh, everyone's got eczema.
Yeah.
Psoriasis is very specific, and so I just thought, oh, maybe it's just like a spot and it's gonna go. Then I realized that I started getting it all over my abdomen, but I wouldn't get it anywhere else. I'd get it in my head, and I'd get it all over my stomach area and a bit on my back. Now, mine is very much trauma related, which is why it's predominantly here, because that's obviously where all your chakras are, and it's very connected. So I didn't care my whole life pretty much, but I have always like covered up. So I'd always wear like long sleeves, never wear dresses. I'd always wear trousers, but I didn't really care. And because it was always covered, because it was just here, it didn't really bother me. I think actually when it started to bother me was as I started getting older. But then when I started energy alignment theory, it started healing on its own. My psoriasis started clearing, bearing in mind I hadn't changed my diet at this point either.
It's a bit stress related as well, isn't it?
Oh, massively. Well, it's different for everyone. Mine is food related and stress related. They're two things. They're my biggest triggers. Like if I sat here right now and I started getting a bit stressed, immediately I'd start itching. But I'm very careful with what I eat as well. Because if I have a fizzy drink right now, like Coke and stuff, I'll start itching. So for me, it's just like, it's not worth it. So I literally drink water. Everyone takes the piss. I always drink water wherever I go.
It's not that I drink a lot of like Coke Zero.
That probably doesn't help. You might want to stop that. So when it started healing, I was like, okay, cool. Like I can do something about this. But that's when I started my Ayurvedic journey. So I've tried homeopathy. I've tried steroid creams. I've tried everything. Steroids work. They thin your skin, and it's all topical. It suppresses the problem. It doesn't fix it. Homeopathy didn't work with me. It's a mental thing as well. Ayurvedic treatment resonated with me so much. Within a month of starting my treatment, 90% of my psoriasis had cleared. But it was really hard. Like Ayurvedic treatment is not easy, and it's a mindset thing as well. But the reason I like to show people, like especially when I do photo shoots and stuff, I always warn the photographer I have psoriasis. Some of them edit it out. Some of them are like, no, we like it actually. And the reason I want to show it is, I think, because I want to show people that we all have problems that we deal with. And if I show it, it might make another girl feel comfortable. Because I feel like being a makeup artist, a content creator, and a podcaster, you're kind of in the limelight a little bit. So I've got the opportunity to showcase psoriasis. And if I sit here and you can see it, I kind of look at it as a good thing, because there's probably a girl or a guy sitting behind the camera and they're thinking, oh, actually, maybe it's not that bad that I've got it because she's got it.
I hear it.
So it's a mental thing. I have down days. As well. But that's normal. If you normalize the fact that you're going to have a down day with this, it's fine. Like, we're not perfect and we all have shitty days. I swear.
Yeah. You did it earlier, don't worry.
We all have really shit days. But again, that's when the coping mechanisms and the tools come into play. And there's things that, like, if my psoriasis is triggered, I know what I need to do to make it better.
How did you cope through that period where it was? I know you said you always wore like long sleeve stuff, and I can appreciate right now whether it's the smallest of insecurity someone's got in regards to, let's say, a spot, for instance, or a hair just popped out of nowhere, or a white hair, or something like that. Like, it can really trigger someone and think, fuck, like, oh shit. You, on the other hand, had something which you've already said is not really curable, and I've just done work on the side to obviously heal and like do what you gotta do. Like, I did tell you yesterday, there was a video I saw and I was like, is that where your psoriasis was? And you're like, yeah. And I was thinking, yo, credit to you, like, for still like doing that, because like a lot of people be like, no, I'm gonna hide that shit.
No, people stare all the time. Like now that I've started to show a bit more skin, people do stare, but I feel like they stare because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
When you educate them, they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then no one cares.
I loved it when, like, the first person in a dating capacity said to me, it's okay, you didn't ask for this.
What?
Like, so when I had like a massive flare up.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I was like, yeah, this is embarrassing. And she was like, no, it's not. It's like, totally respect. Like, you didn't ask for this. It's come up and it's okay. Like, I don't judge you. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, no, this isn't cool. It's fine. Like,
people who have skin conditions, I think, become very mentally strong people, because otherwise it could literally like take over.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, like, when it gets like quite bad, like if you've got someone who's got like bad acne or losing their hair or whatever, like it can really, really play a pivotal role in regards to, like, if there's something you generally can't do about it, because genetically you've got certain things within you. Like, let's say, like, I've got like very thin hair as an example, right? And I remember when I was at school in like year 6 or year 7, people used to take the piss. I used to have my hair all spiked up, and they'd be like, yo, we can see your head, mate. What's wrong? And I was like, yo, it's just spikes. What are you talking about? Like, kind of thing. Like, and I didn't know. I thought maybe I'm using the wrong gels or whatever kind of thing. But no, my hair has just always been thin, unfortunately. And so that's something I've had to like just get accustomed to, and people might still mock it, etc. I'm like, no, I'm not really losing my hair. My hairline's quite fine and it's blessed, but it's just because I've got thin hair and the way I now style it.
Genetics.
It is what it is.
What can you do? Yeah.
But I'm comfortable to be able to explain that. I feel certain people aren't comfortable and then still have that insecurity. Yeah. So my question to you was, and if you've got any advice, what would you encourage someone in that space to like say to themselves?
You need to start changing your mindset around it.
So do energy healing.
If that resonates, there's a book called The Mind Body Prescription. I don't know if you've ever read it. Really, really good book. Mind Body Prescription. Everyone should read it, because it shows how the mind is connected to any illnesses that you have. Cancer is a big one. Cancer is a huge one that sometimes it's trauma related, basically, because a lot of doctors say it's genetic, but sometimes it's not. So I would say that's one of the first books that I actually ever really properly read. And I think educating yourself on changing your mindset will start changing the way you think, the way you look, and the way people perceive you on the outside as well, because then you'll start changing yourself.
I get it.
I think it's all to do with the mind. I wish I had better advice than that. Like, oh, don't care what other people think and that kind of advice. But no, you really have to change your mindset. So I think educate yourself, read books, read podcasts, and really start working on yourself. I think people just say it like really, like, yeah, we're working on, we're working on ourselves, but physically do the work. Like, it's really hard, but do it, because it will change everything.
I get it. I hear you. It's difficult. I feel like it's still a place where people want to do these kind of things, but again, the application part is it's.
People are lazy, I think, sometimes.
I don't think it's lazy. I think, and I know what you mean by that, because I'll call my clients out for being lazy. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? Get on with it, kind of thing. I also feel people are scared to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid to what's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're afraid of being very vulnerable in that space and possibly getting judged for whatever it is that's going on. If you've got psoriasis right now and you wear, in your situation, let's say you're on holiday and you're wearing a bikini out kind of thing, like people are going to ask that question, what's that? Mm. But it's getting past that to realize once that question's there and done with, that's it. If someone's going to judge you, they're just a nasty person.
And there are nasty people out there. But life is a balance. There's negative people and there's positive people. And that's how life balances out.
Yeah.
If it was all positive, that's not how it works, which is why there's yin and yang as well.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of them need educating, and sometimes it's a chance and opportunity for you to just say, look, to be honest, I didn't ask for any of this, unfortunately, but it's a skin condition that one of the cards I got dealt was I'm going to have this skin condition, and
exactly.
The game's a game. Like I this is what I use, but unfortunately there's no cure, and this helps when I'm in the sun, hence why I'm on this holiday and I'm getting all of this in. So if it's a problem for you and it bugs you, totally respect it.
Young adults are really lucky nowadays because you guys literally have the internet at your fingertips. You have podcasts, you have influencers that you can relate to. I never had that. You probably never had that growing up either. So you guys are really lucky. You're in a better position than maybe we were. So I would definitely just do research and just start working on yourselves, honestly. And also like DM me if you want to ask.
That's what I was going to ask. What's one thing that, before we wrap this up, what's one thing that someone could DM you specifically, personally about? We've got bookings and we've got all of that stuff there. But if there's anything more personal and specific that someone could message you about, which you could possibly hold space for, you're not a coach, you're not a therapist, but as Gurpreet the friend, what would you have your DMs open for?
Life and being independent and struggling through the creative industry and dealing with mental health issues, and also about psoriasis, basically.
Fine. So if, for context, if someone's got psoriasis, struggling with a form of, I don't want to call it an issue, a mental health challenge right now. And they so happen to be within the creative space. And they're feeling some kind of way, reaching out to you is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, honestly, please message me because I navigated through this industry on my own, so I know how hard it is. So if girls try to come to me, like I have a few girls now who want to be makeup artists, I am helping them 100%. I will tell you everything because I've had girls come to me who are a bit sneaky as well, who'll say that we want a model for you, but then they actually want to be a makeup artist, but they won't tell me that. And then they end up becoming makeup artists, and it's like, you should have just asked me. Like, you didn't need to just be honest. You
wouldn't have said no either. No. It's just
the girls that I'm helping now. Like, there's one girl, shout out to Manita. I am not just helping her become a makeup artist. I'm helping her do a lot of inner work as well. And so, like, I honestly will help anyone and everyone, boy or girl. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I really like helping people, and especially with everything that I've been through, I think I can give solid advice.
Gang. No, fair. All right, well, these DMs are open, so hopefully people come through. Where can everyone find you? Let's throw in every single Instagram account that you've got here now.
No, you always take the piss. Okay, so I've got Makeup by Gurpreet Kaur, which is predominantly my makeup page. I've got the Inside Makeup podcast as well, which is obviously the podcast page. And then I have Gurpreet XKD on Instagram, which is more of my personal page. So you can DM any of those and I will reply.
Gang. Well, thank you for getting Unfiltered.
Thank you.
I've had fun. Thank you for sharing some space. Oh, holding some space. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you lot for listening to another episode of the Unfiltered podcast. If you've liked what you listened today, drop us a like. If you've got any comments in regards to what we spoke about, if there's something you disagreed with or there's stuff that you did agree with, drop us a comment. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed yet, give us a subscribe. Whether you listen to this on Spotify, Apple, or if you're watching this on YouTube, every subscribe goes a long way. And look, why wouldn't you subscribe? If you like the unfiltered nature of the podcast, surely you want to be in tune to whenever the next episode is coming out, right? Anywho, I'll catch you on the next episode of the Unfiltered podcast. It's been your boy Pri, and I'm signing out. Peace.